Whether you want to believe this or not, you have a desire for power. Now, I know that most of us want to believe that we are above this idea of wanting, thirsting for, and desiring power within our lives. But in truth, every single one of us feels as if we just had power over the situations, circumstances, and people in our lives, then our lives would be far better. And there is some truth to this. Now, when we talk about power, most of us think of, a governmental leader who is screwing over a country for their own personal gain, or maybe a corporate leader who is doing things in order for their own pocketbook, but not for the best intention of the people that they're claiming to serve. That's how we look at power. But in truth, power is inherent and it is internal. And it is something that is natural to desire. As a matter of fact, we're supposed to live in a place of power. We're supposed to dwell in a space of personal power, but oftentimes we lose our way. And the reason why we lose that way is because we give that power away. We give that power to things, situations, circumstances, and most importantly, we give that power away to people. And this is how we do it. From a very young age, we grow up or we're raised in these households where we basically have an individual who is our caretaker. And their job or responsibility is to not only take care of those needs, but also to demonstrate what it is to be human. So they are our guides. And from the age of 0 to 7, you're basically a sponge and you are seeping in anything in your environment. All the situations, circumstances, and conditions around you, you take and you personalize. Right? The people around you, their temperaments, their attitudes, their ideas, their belief systems, you take those upon yourself and start to internalize them. And so, again, from that place, you create this belief system that becomes your identity. Now, for most of us, we have this belief that we are not worthy, we are not adequate, and that we are powerless, that life is happening to us. That's the first time we get this relationship with being powerless. And we also have a belief that in order for me to be valuable or valid, I must have somebody else validate me. My opinion does not matter, but the opinions of those around me matter most. And so we start to go out looking for the validation of those around us. And as we go down this rabbit hole, per se, we find ourselves in a place where we are no longer going within to look for our sense of worthiness, to look for our sense of validation and affirmation. And so we give it to the world. We give it to those we might see on a pedestal, those who we see as authority figures, those we basically idolize, whether it be people in the media or the people within your own household. Now, there may be no problem if this was a working formula, right? The only reason that this is an issue is because it simply doesn't get us what we want. When we start to give our power away to other people, when we start to give away our emotional power and our thought life to other people and other mediums or anything external, we lose out. We do not get the results that we want, even if it feels like we're being satisfied for a moment. Like if you get somebody's validation for a second, it might feel satisfactory in that moment, but it never lasts. So when you give your power to somebody, and this is an example I love to use because it is the most, I guess, relevant for us as humans, because all of us have been in some type of relationship exchange, some type of relationship context. Even if you are alone right now and have no friends, at some point in time, you found yourself giving your power away in this way. So what you did was you basically saw it as your responsibility to be in charge of other people's emotions. That's right. You saw yourself as a manager of other people's emotions. And then this is what they did. They made you the manager of their own. So they said, you're in charge of my emotions. And you said, you're right. I am in charge of your emotions. And then they said, I'm in charge of your emotions. And you said, you're right. You are in charge of my emotions. And so two people come together, giving away their power and their authority over themselves. And so when that other person does something, we have a visceral reaction, right? A visceral response. And we start to acclimate towards their own emotions. So if somebody is miserable, then we start to acclimate towards their misery. When somebody is aggressive, then we start to become aggressive. When somebody else is sad, we become sad. They almost act like a mirror for us. And instead of being unconditional in our emotions, we start to take on the emotions of people around us. This is the giving away of power. This is what it looks like in practice. This is what it looks like in play. And most of us are doing this until we come to the realization that our emotions are our own. Our thoughts are our own. Our actions, which are the most accepted as being in our own control. Our actions are our own. Our behaviors our patterns, etc., those things are within our control. And the reason why it feels as if we are out of control, the reason why it feels like we have no control over our emotions and our thoughts is because we've been so used to making everybody else responsible for them. We've been so used to giving our mind over to the feed or giving our mind over to the programming, the television show, the Netflix, or whatever it may be. We have been so used to giving over our thought process to others, to external phenomena, and that brings us to a state where we are no longer the ones in charge of our own thoughts and therefore our own emotions, right? If I said you were responsible for my feelings and what you did would inherently mean I would feel some type of way, that you were the only one who could shift and switch and change and manipulate my emotions, and I had no power over that, if I declare that to myself, then I am a slave to you. That's right. I become powerless in that situation. This is how we become powerless. We give away our thoughts and our emotions to others, or responsibility and management of those things to other people. We begin to look at the world as being responsible. Now, it doesn't matter if it's individuals, it doesn't matter if it's institutions, it doesn't matter if it's conditions or circumstances. You will find yourself in, let's say, an undesirable circumstance, and you will say, I am miserable because of this thing that happened to me, right? Let's say it's an ailment or a dis-ease. So you say this dis-ease is what's making me miserable. Now, that may seem true on the surface, right? And most people might even agree with you, but that's not inherently true. The reason why you're miserable is because of how you're looking at the circumstance of the situation. Now, if somebody had told you that the reason you're going through this is so you can get everything that you desire in your life, right, on the other side, then you probably wouldn't be miserable because you'd be thinking about it from a hopeful state of mind. You would be taking back your own thought process, your own conscious awareness in that situation. But because you're telling yourself a story that is far different, that is defeating or defeatist, it strips away your power. And so, again, you give power to the condition or the situation or circumstance. And this is what happens in every aspect of our lives. We see something and we react as opposed to responding to life, being responsible, which is literally the breakdown of ability to respond, or choosing, being active participants in life. When I see something, I choose not to engage in that, and instead I choose to engage in something else. We have that choice, and only we can do something about it. There is nobody else that can make that decision of what you think, what you focus on emotionally or mentally. Nobody else can do that for you. Let me repeat that. Nobody else can choose what you think or what you feel for you in the same way that nobody can lift a weight for you and gain the muscle for you. Nobody can eat the food for you and get the physiological response for you. Therefore, nobody can think for you and nobody can feel for you. You have to make that decision for yourself. And I know it's not an easy one. Trust me, I know it is, as they say, easier said than done. But it is only in your decision to take back control, to take back authority of your own thought process and your own emotions. And it starts with a simple switch. It's like, for me, all I did was look at what I'm consuming on a day-to-day basis. What is it that I'm engaging with that is then manipulating my thought process? Is it something that is feeding me and serving me, or is it something that is distracting me and taking me away from that power that's within me? Is it something that's constructive or destructive? And it's only me who can choose what I'm watching on that phone or what I'm listening to or what I'm reading on that device. And something as simple as that, switching that just shows you automatically that you have power, you have autonomy, you have authority over what it is that you engage with and what it is that you consume. And again, nobody else can make this decision for you. You have to make the decision for yourself. That's where powerlessness comes from. So what we're looking to do is transition from a place of powerlessness, which is a deception and delusion. It's not real. We're actually not in a place of powerlessness. We just believe we are powerless. We have given our power and our authority over to the situations, conditions, circumstances, and people within our lives. But once we take that back and take ownership of it, our lives change. That's when we're now living from a place of true personal power. And so I created an entire course that is built around stepping out of the place of people pleasing and stepping into personal power. As a matter of fact, I actually will be launching a book this coming Monday. So this is probably, I guess, the official news. It's no longer a secret, cast out the bag. That is titled Doing Me Guilt Free. And it has that same title, which is Breaking Free from People Pleasing and Stepping into Personal Power. Because what I come to believe or realize is every single one of my clients, every single one of my students thus far have been people pleasers at some level. They have looked to find their validation from the world around them and therefore giving away their personal power. And so we must be willing to take that or make that transition from that place of powerlessness, which is just people pleasing, looking for others to be something for us that we're supposed to be for ourselves, and stepping into a place of personal power, the place that is the only effective space that we can dwell in, right? There's nothing else that anybody else can do for you that is going to satisfy for a lifetime. Nothing will fulfill you that somebody else brings, even if you have the greatest partner in the world. I don't care if you have Rico freaking Suave. I don't give a damn if you've got I couldn't come up with the alternative, so y'all just gonna have to use your own imagination for that one. I don't care who it is that you're dealing with. That person cannot fulfill you. You must find that fulfillment within. That is personal power. And so if you are somebody who is ready to take that next step, I will put the link for both the book that I just released. Happy published date to me. And I will also put a link to the course for those who are ready to take that very next step, right? For some, you got to go through the book and actually internalize and realize where you are. Take those steps forward, and then jump into the course. But for some people, you're just going to realize that, man, I need to change. Like, I need the transformation right now. And that's the entire purpose of this course. So if you're somebody who's ready and you're in that place, make sure to look in the description below, and you can get immediate access to that. And for everybody else, till the next time, love you guys. Peace.